Today's episode is about AI and psychology. Today with me there is Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Luca.
And let's get straight into it. Psychology is a fascinating discipline. It's crucial, and it has been, it has been crucial. I think for a lot of people, especially in the last 2 years, pandemics, a lot of things going on. I think that when we think about AI and psychology, it's not a straightforward match, but some our research highlighted some interesting experiments and also some interesting applications, right? So, Michelle, why don't you think a little bit more about concrete examples where AI can be used to help practitioners and also people that need psychological support?
Okay, so first of all, on your point that psychology and AI and really tech don't usually come together, right? It's also because compared to the other social sciences, psychology historically it's really hard to measure and it's really hard to come up with concrete interventions and all of this, and even to come up with like diagnosis, right? Because it takes a lot of time to really say that okay, this is a real thing, it's a real disease, and it's something that we can target. Now, with regards to that, how AI and how technology is being applied into psychology, what they do is they leave the heavy lifting still to the psychologists, right? But what we can do using AI is to help alleviate certain cues and certain symptoms. So, for example, there's the issue of detection. So, what they do is they use AI to look into the different symptoms and signals. So, they use machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing to analyze language, the physical gestures, and the social signals to identify the cues for human distress, right? And they do
So,
this to assess soldiers as well from combat. So, it's really good.
if I understood correctly, let's say that we imagine or we step out of the typical therapeutic setup where the patient is in front of the psychologist. Let's say that the therapy is performed on remotely, so
Mhm.
it's a Zoom call, and the therapist is looking at the patient through through a screen. If we have that video, what you're saying is that we can apply, if we have that video recording, we can apply computer vision, we can understand physical gestures, we can understand expressions, and yeah, maybe even see things that are not immediately captured by the psychologist. What do you think? Is this something that they already tried with soldiers, if I understood correctly?
Yes, indeed, exactly. So that's exactly how it works. So if you have a previous recording of like different sessions, right, somebody can go to look through it and you can train the model to be able to detect how many is too much perspiration in one session that it's maybe a symptom of something deeper, right? Because you have to remember, in order to become a good psychiatrist, you really need like hours and hours and hours of experience through therapy, and you build that kind of expertise. Now, if you have these kind of tools in your pocket, right, you can still catch certain things that may be harder to detect, even if you don't have that protracted long experience of working in therapy. So if you've just beginning as a psychiatrist and you're doing your therapy through Zoom, if you have those sessions recorded and you have a model that's helping you look at these recordings and see what is the tracking the eye movement, right? How many times this person tried to deflect what they're trying to say, right? And then it helps you better come up with an intervention and see, okay, so what is the kind of diagnosis and what is the kind of intervention that I should be providing the patient?
This is fascinating. It's also a bit creepy because, as you know, AI can see things that practitioner cannot see the pulse rate or blood flow. And we know that with cameras, like this one,
Mm,
we can see blood vessels and we can estimate quite accurately, actually,
mhm.
the pulse rate of a person. But let's be a little bit more. Let's dive a little bit more into the applications that are already out there, ready to be tested. I think one of the that comes to mind is called Wobot. I think I tested it. Was not impressed, but that was like a few years ago. It was essentially a chatbot. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Okay, so essentially, you talk to the chatbot, right? And it encourages you to think through situations inspired by cognitive behavioral therapy. So, this is when you think through your actions and try to step out of how you're actually feeling. So, sometimes the thing is, we get carried away by our emotions, but our emotions, they tend to go up and down, right? They're not really objective. And if you learn to take a step back in the situations where you are stressed, you tend to handle these stressful situations better. So that's basically the idea. And
All right.
the bot tracks your mood and the positive changes over time.
All right. I think we can highlight another two for our audience, maybe to test. Uper and Biobase. Maybe we have the time to, yeah, share a little bit more information about one of them. Which one would you pick to?
Maybe Uper.
Okay, tell us more.
Okay, so Uper provides a personalized emotional health assistant to help treat
Hmm.
stress, anxiety, and depression. So these are some of the most common illnesses with regards to mental health. So they use a technique from several different therapies, including, as I mentioned before, cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness to monitor and improve mental health through a series of brief conversations throughout your day or throughout your weeks.
Okay, well, Michelle, thanks a lot. That this is brilliant. So, for our listeners, if you want to test these applications, we found three of them. One is called Wobot, the other one is Biobase, and the third one is Uper. Um, Caution is required when and we train AI every day, but when your health is at stake, it's always better to just rely on human
Hmm.
practitioners, and then maybe, yeah, check out this new technology, because yeah, dispersion of healthcare is the future. With this, we will, I think, conclude here this episode. Thank you, Michelle,
Thank you.
and thank you everybody for listening.